Welcome back. It's time for me. You watch. James Creedon is here. I'm going to start with a question for James. Have you ever had a Belgian bun? Yeah, it's a kind of nice bun, icing with cherry on top.
Belgian waffle.
Okay. Well, the Belgian bun is really, really nice. Right. But, if Belgium splits, as people say it might, will those buns come in halves?
Who will own the Belgian?
And can we buy 2 for 1?
Who will be able to claim it?
This story you're starting with is about Belgium having no government for the past year or so.
Right.
And obviously the big constitutional problems that are there.
That's right. The King spoke today, as is his habit, on the National Belgian Festival, the National Belgian Day. And he cut a forlorn-looking figure. I think we have some pictures of him as well, kind of speaking from the palace, would you say? The King's Palace in Brussels. In any case, Belgians really don't know whether to laugh or to cry about this. It's been going on for 403 days. And I suppose the irony of it all is that the eyes of the world were turned on Brussels today for a whole other reason, the Euro Summit, which was going on there. And no one was talking about the fact that it's the national holiday and there's no government, no at least functioning government. So the King spoke about that. He spoke about how he cut a kind of a forlorn figure, and he said that he would have hoped to announce a new functioning government by today. But sorry, I can't announce that news to you. He spoke a few words of Flemish, and then there were some kind of slightly kitsch images at the end with all of that. And in the Belgian papers, they're speaking about the day of national disunity and the kingdom of great disillusionment. So a lot of people are very kind of upset about it all, really. Here they're talking about what the negotiators ate recently. I think they're just so bored with the actual issues that's what they end up talking about. And that's Marine Le Pen saying that perhaps Wallonia could become a French department. Here, this is a Belgian cartoon, a Belgian comic strip called Spirou, and it's sold in 40 countries around the world, and they've dedicated this month's issue entirely to the Belgian
Did I notice a super chip in there? The Belgians being renowned chip eaters, chip makers, chip sellers.
Chips, chocolate and comic books. That's kind of what they're known for. So there you go. That's
I'm not having a government for 400 days.
For 403 days. They beat the Iraqi record, which was 289 days. So it's sort of a farce.
There's a reason why in Iraq, though, isn't there? You can understand why it happens in Iraq. But, in a place like Belgium, you'd think they could sort something out.
Right. Well, looks like it's kind of a divorce, if you like. Now,
what's next?
If we move on to the computer, Daily Mail, let's have a look at this headline. The fake Apple store in China, so convincing that even its staff were fooled. And this is an extraordinary story. There are only 2 official Apple stores in China, 2 in Beijing, 2 in Shanghai, so only 4 in the whole country. Now, this is a small little town in China, which bizarrely had this Apple store.
Kunming.
Yes, that's right, in the town of Kunming. Now, let's have a look at particular blog here, Bird Abroad. Now, that is an American woman who's been living in China for 2 years. She went into this Apple store and noticed that something was a bit bizarre about it. Now, she has said that this was the most beautiful rip-off, the most brilliant rip-off, the best she'd ever seen, because everything looked genuine, except there were a couple of details, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to bring up some of the photos, but
I hope so.
She noticed that, for example,
wow,
this staircase here is not exactly the same as the staircases in Apple stores elsewhere around the world. There's a couple of little differences. Also, the name tag around the sales assistant's necks, it had an Apple sign and staff written underneath it, but in a real Apple store, you'll have the name of the seller. So it was tiny, tiny, tiny little details. It was kind of spot the difference type exercise.
They're the sort of things you wouldn't spot when you walk in. You just think it's Apple, wouldn't you?
She must have known her Apple stores very well, this particular girl.
So does it sell rip-off stuff?
Which?
Does it sell rip-off stuff?
Apparently it doesn't. And it was the Wall Street Journal that managed to get into contact with people at the store, and they said that in fact they did know that it was a rip-off store, unlike what the blogger said. She said that even the staff thought it was real, but that they were, as long as they were selling the real deal, they didn't really mind.
Okay. So now, of course, that's the sort of thing that would perhaps be spotted by the hero of our next story, isn't it?
That's right. Let's have a look at this story in the Huffington,
which is a cracker.
The Huffington Post. We have the headline up here: Hero Chihuahua scares off 2 armed robbers. Now, I think we have the pictures, so if we could play it. I mean, I think I'll leave the video speak for itself here, because it's pretty extraordinary stuff. This took place in LA on the 7th of July.
So they are the burglars in the hood.
So there they are, trying to get their money from the shop seller. And along comes this yappy little fella here, jumping all over the place. They did manage to get $200 into the bag, but I suspect they'd have...
And the dog sees them
out
off.
the door after them.
That's fantastic.
So his name is Paco, and his boss is called Eric Knight, and Eric is thinking about getting a cape for him, apparently, because he's so impressed by his hero super dog, who managed to rid the store of those nasty villains just in time. Well, maybe not just in time, because they got away with $200.
Paco, the super chihuahua in Los Angeles.
Exactly.
Fantastic stuff. You couldn't make it up, could you?
No, you couldn't. It's real.
James Creedon
Cheers,
there with Meteor Watch, and Paco, the hero Chihuahua. Thank you, sir.
Cheers.